Hello, video camera. I decided to open the window today because it's raining, and I thought I would like to have a rain background in my video today. It's scattered regular distribution of sounds. I've talked about my recent ayahuasca ceremony experiences on these videos, and there's one ceremony that I did not talk about. And it was a mushroom ceremony. It happened in between ayahuasca ceremonies number 5 and 6. And I had never taken mushrooms in a ceremonial context before. Only once had I taken them in the forest, and it was an eye-opening experience. But I found, wow, the world really is magical. Where I saw a magical highlight of reality that one is not always awake to. It truly felt like awakening. That was the first time back in 2014, 9 years ago. Almost exactly 9 years before, actually. So I attended this mushroom ceremony back in April of this year, 2023. And I had no expectations about it. I remember coming into it and realizing, oh, there's a mattress, and oh, why is there a mattress? I thought it was a more daytime kind of thing. It happened in the same space as the ayahuasca ceremonies. And so I was there, and I set an intention to simply allow whatever wanted to come up. And so I was there in ceremony. I lay down. Well, I took the mushroom, what is it? Powder within some kind of liquid, some kind of tea, I believe. Yes, it was a tea. So I drank the tea, lay down on the mattress. Yes, that's better. And there was this music happening in the background. There was like a ceremonial drum. Boom, boom. Ceremonial drum music happening in the background. And as this music was happening, within me, in my mind, I began to feel images, colors, feel something more substantial than the usual blackness that is there when I close my eyes. The first image I remember was that of it began to glow orange, like an orange from fire. There was a glow in front of me, and peered into it. And I peered into this place where the orange was glowing from, and there was some kind of pit, like something like is depicted sometimes in movies where there are temples with lava rivers running underneath them in science fiction or in video games. And so there's like a lava river underneath, and underneath, like passing through a canal that is made apparently of stone. It really looked like those video games, like with stones in like an Egyptian style, so not quite straight, but rather like this, a canal. And this lava was flowing through the canal. And I kept listening to the drum. It felt a lot more solemn than I had expected, perhaps, because my first experience was so merry, joyful. It reminded me of fairies and magical trees and flowers. It was much lighter, the experience. Whereas this one, there was a drum inside, and I could feel that this orange was somewhere. I felt it was somewhere in me, perhaps solar plexus sacral area, sacral. And as this was happening, there were several things that happened. One of them was I could feel my legs, which were straight. They were straight. I could feel them begin to go like this. I don't know if I'm making the right, like imagine if these are my legs, my straight legs, and these are my feet on the top of the tip. And I was sitting down here, and my head is over here. My legs began to go like both at the same time. And it felt like I was, my legs were moving of their own accord. I allowed them to move. And then I felt there was this ball of energy, of the same quality, orange, deep, powerful orange ball of energy between my legs. By that I mean, like, if my legs are like this, I mean the ball was right around here, like in the space made in between my folded knees. Right in that space there was like a ball of energy. And it was energetically solid is the word that comes to me. As in solid, it was it represented power, like dense, energetic power of the color orange. And it was there. And it felt like something in me was beginning to feel that energy and to remember it, to reclaim it in some way. And then something else that was happening while all of that was happening, and I was feeling also the lava canal within somewhere there related to that energy, to that ball of energy. I also felt how my breath went from the usual waking cycle, waking distracted cycle, to something more akin, like deeper. My breath began to get deeper, and it began to get rawer. Instead of sounding like it began sounding more like I could feel the growling come within me naturally. It just grew. Something inside of me was awakening and was reclaiming its power. And the method by which it did it, its expression of doing so was this growl. Or maybe that was simply its way of being. It felt awake. Like, oh, something out here is awake. And it truly felt like I was a lion. Like a lion. I even somehow felt like the mane around me. And it was like fur. And I felt even my muscles felt like they were like even wider and like denser, stronger. Everything just felt like there was this reservoir, very powerful reservoir of energy and power within my body. And I felt it. And I felt it, and the breaths began getting stronger. And the music helped fuel that. It helped bring that out. And each time it went a little more. And it was never forced. It just simply rose and rose. Until at some point, one of the ceremony holders, masters, they came over to me and they seemed to prefer that I not sound as loudly, as strongly, as powerfully. And yet, my growls were, my breath was natural. It was exactly what was coming out. And so I don't remember if this person actually like even told me something. I just felt their presence. As in they were looking at me. And I knew, oh, she's trying to interfere. She thinks that my presence, my breath is not correct right now. And yet I know that it's the most natural thing. It's just rising. And I felt defiant. The words that came out and that were inside of me were, in a way, they said, do you dare to challenge who I am? And I felt like that. And I sat up very consciously. Sat up, looked at him to the side. And growled. Not like that, but with a look directly at her eyes. Asking, yes, I know what you're doing. I know what you mean. And this is exactly what I am, and I will not diminish it because of what you say, because of what you mean. After some time with this energy and power within me and these growls coming out of me, I knew that there were people and mattresses around me, and I realized this is it. The full energy and power that I have is not to be contained in this room. It wants space. And so I So I lifted myself up from the ground, walked outside, daytime. The sky was sunny, the air was fresh. I could still feel the music, the ceremonial drums in the background from inside the house. But I came outside and I felt, I sensed everything with a clarity, a sharpness, a strength, a power in my senses. So sharp, so true. And I saw the sun. And I was standing on a ledge where I could see a full vast space of forest out in the horizon. And the sun was up in the sky. Actually, what I saw was mountains and forests. And the mountains were very far away, but they had this very jagged shape, and there was like a sort of valley, mountain that were like this somewhere, and there was like, whoosh, it came down into a valley of sorts, and trees all around him, and I realized that when I had seen it before in my waking state, the mountains looked, they had beautiful shapes, and the colors were nice, and yet I could not see the details past a certain amount. Or at least I didn't try to very much. It seemed like, yeah, it's a beautiful landscape, and yeah, it did not impress me as much. But in that moment, in that state, I saw those valleys, that valley and those mountains. And it felt like I was looking into fantasy land. Just a land of wonder. It truly felt like, oh my. Life. This is life. This is life. Not referring to, life is taking mushrooms itself to the psychedelia of the substance, but to the state, this waking state. I was aware of everything. I began thinking in my mind how, well, the common knowledge is that when one takes psychedelics, one is somehow modified, altered in almost like in a subversion of oneself, like in a state of awareness that is less reliable than the usual waking state. And I truly thought about that, and I realized that's not the case at all. I have absolute control over all my thought process. I know them. I know all my memories. There's nothing I cannot access that I accessed before. And yet I feel more. I have reached a heightened state of awareness that I haven't usually functioned in for the majority of my waking life. But it was powerful, and it was true. It was the same world. It was the mountains, the valleys, the trees, the sky, the sun, the walls, the earth. It was all the same, except brighter, truer. I could see all the details in all of them. And I realized there is nothing to fear or to diminish or to reject from this state. Nothing. It is it is a truer perception of what is outside of us. It was truer. There's no projection of my mind believing that it should be sharp or believing that it should be shiny or nothing. It was just a truer, a stronger sense of everything around me. I spent quite a lot of time describing just how that felt. And it was so, the sky just felt, the sky and the horizon. I realized, oh, this is life. And I had a feeling of, I am. Huh. Someone's coming to visit me. Maybe I'll retake this video in a little while. I'll keep recording just because I can trim it later. Out of package. Anyway, what was I saying? State of awareness, heightened senses. The jagged was that much more precisely jagged. The smooth was that much more precisely smooth. The smooth sky, the details of the textures of the trees I could see in the distance. It felt like I could see much farther than I could before. And at the same time, I felt myself. I felt like I was accessing the true power within myself, of self, of I. And I was saying, I was thinking about, I was realizing to myself, I am. I am. I am. And it was a core concept. Everything around it, the mountains, the trees, the feelings, the senses, this particular experience, my feet, my human body, was all around the concept of I am. I am. It was so true. True, just knowing. I walked back out from the ledge and back to, on the earth still. And one of the ceremonial masters came out, and I saw her, and I saw her face, and I could see how much more detail I could sense simultaneously in her face. I could see all little shapes that make like almost textures, almost like little continent shapes on the ocean of her face. And all the details, the earrings and the specks of skin, things that were not even, things you wouldn't notice usually. Just darker patches, lighter patches. The smile, exactly the shape of the smile. This amazing cornucopia of detail. And I saw her and we greeted. And I told her, this is the waking state. Here, now, we are awake. We usually live as if asleep, but this is awake. With such certain knowing. And then the music was still sounding in the background. And I did not have any shoes. And the earth was gravelly, the ground was gravelly. And I remember that I paid no attention to what the ground was like. It was none at all. It was as if, because in usual waking life, I would pay attention to it, because I would be somewhat uncomfortable or annoyed or prickly about pricking my feet on potentially jagged stones on the ground. But there was nothing. Afterwards, I pondered on it and I realized I wasn't thinking about that at all. And yet I was so clear. I just stepped. I wanted to go somewhere. I stepped. It felt almost like the channel between my intention and the body was just wide and clear and powerful. So there was barely any resistance or any friction from, the intention of going there because the space felt good, and my body actually going there. It just happened automatically. I simply allowed. And all the obstacles that, these stones can be too sharp, or should I go there, or is there something else to do? There was nothing. There was just an attention on this constant stream of doing from intention. And I let myself go, and my body began to move with the music. I began to dance, and then I realized, the sun is there. And I began greeting the sun like, it feels so good. Greeting, I meant more like enjoying, just, it feels amazing, because the sunlight, like everything, it just felt stronger and more powerful, and though it's usually cozy and comfortable, it just felt blissful, absolutely blissful to have the sunlight in my skin, to feel the wind on my skin as I moved, as I brushed around on the wind with the rhythm of the music. It felt like bliss on my body. Bliss. There was no effort. My body moved, waved and shaped and did everything it wanted to. The back, to the front, to the side, where there was a curve, it spiraled, it posed, it balanced itself, it came back to the ground. Bliss. With no effort. Truly was no effort, it was just enjoyment. Complete enjoyment, exploration, curious exploration of what can be, and such joy that was evoked with all therefrom. such joy that could be evoked therefrom. And I continue to feel somewhat like a beast. Like this beast that was like, oh yes! Finally! Thank you! Oh, this feels amazing! And I danced and I danced and I danced. Feeling delicious, realizing, this is our natural state within nature. To enjoy what is with these bodies that have these capacities, flexibilities, motility, sensations. And we can raise our consciousness so that we enjoy the full extent of what our bodies can do and what they can feel. It felt amazing. And I realized, this is possible. It is possible to reach this state of awareness and consciousness such that we use our bodies, that I use my body in full strength. I don't even know if that was full strength. It certainly was higher, heightened strength, heightened sensibility. After dancing and feeling blissful like that, I remembered, I want to pee. And then I thought, oh, bathroom? And I'm going to call it the beast within, the lion. I'll call him the lion. Like this lion felt like, bathroom? What do you mean? I was immersed in nature. I was part of the flow of nature. How would I reject something of myself and feel like, no, this does not belong in nature? No, my state was fully in nature. I was part of it, and I intended to remain part of it, to include all of my being in this environment. And yet I was aware that as human beings we tend to not put pee everywhere around because there are odor and hygiene concerns. And so I knew, okay, well, I can pee over there, just past the fence. It felt right. I walked over there. I had taken most of my clothes off at that point. I only had my underwear. I walked down to the ledge. Felt the resistance from social fears that there were people around. Actually, there were two women who were also taking the ceremony around me. And I could feel there was some social pressure to be naked around other people. And my lion realized there's nothing to fear in you. It is your body. It is your body. You don't need to fear anything. So I took off my underwear, pulled up my penis in a way so that it's convenient to pee, and allowed all of my energy to flow out through it. I mean, not all of my energy, but just allow the flow to be uninterrupted, unabashed, just allow, let the body do what it needs to do. I gave it full space. And it felt like I was part of nature, like I was giving of myself, allowing it to be part of nature. Yes, this is me. I gave it to nature. I had an intent of offering. So then I was naked, and I truly felt like a beast in the wild. Like, this is how it feels to be a beast in the wild. This is the truly blissful, natural state that many people wonder about or talk about, or that animals seem to be. And they have no inhibitions. They do and feel as they are. So I allowed that to happen for a while. I walked. Each step there was intent. Each step there was awareness. There was consciousness. It was not I don't know where I'm going here, falling from one side to the other. There was intent. Each step. Where am I going? This way. Okay. Now where do I want to go? This way. I found a few rocks beside the ledge, further down the path. And I felt like that, like being like a rock. There were rocks to step upon. So I stepped upon a rock, and I felt like a king. I stepped on the rock, and it felt to me like a symbol of I am the king of my own domain. And I rule myself with awareness, with full power in this world. It felt like a reclaiming of power into myself. The power that people tend to give away, tend to delegate to authorities. In that moment, I took it all back. And remembered, the power is mine. It is mine. The power in this world. The power of self. Through my mind, there was a continuous flow of questioning and answering and understanding. Such a different experience from ayahuasca. In a sense, it felt like in ayahuasca I was connecting with entities or beings that seemed to be, in a way, somewhat higher, somewhat subtler, ethereal in a sense. But in this experience with the mushrooms, I felt like I was connecting to something within, and it was somehow denser, even denser than I knew. Like it was this orange ball that I was talking about. It was like this orange ball of like ultra dense energetic material. There was the core. It was my core of my self, and I had this continuous knowing or understanding. I am. I am. I am. That is it. That is the key. That is everything. All else revolves around it. All else blooms from it. I am. And with that knowledge, there comes freedom. There comes such an absolute freedom. Because there are no constraints. It is a world where I am is the core of everything. Everything blooms from it. And as such, everything that forms around it, even the apparent restrictions and forms and shapes and patterns that we form, they are all of our own design. And we have the power to change them, modify them, alter them, to create more, to destroy them as we wish. And believing ourselves that we are unable to do that at any point means that we have given our power away somewhere along the line. Through my mind were flowing these ideas. And I came back up. I came back up and and there was some women there who had also taken the mushrooms. And one of the ceremonial masters came over to me and he said, when he saw that I was walking back naked, he said, "Hey, you put some clothes on before you come on, okay? Because there's some ladies in our midst." And I had a short discussion with my lion about that, because my lion seemed to be evoking complete freedom, absolute freedom, and yet there was a request here of like, "Oh, we would prefer it if you do not do this." And the discussion was along the lines of, why would I need to change my behavior if I have all the power in the world? Why would I need to put clothes back on anywhere? But I also realized their forms, the forms of these women, their shapes, their patterns, they can genuinely be affected, perhaps with fear, perhaps with shame, embarrassment. Fear. If I do show up and clothes-less. And as I saw it, this freedom, this absolute freedom that I had in my world, it's also intimately intertwined with choice. We have the absolute choice. Just as we have absolute freedom, we have absolute choice of everything we do. That is the expression of our freedom is our choice. And yet with each choice, we can have an understanding of how our actions affect the world around us. And we choose. Our point is to actively choose. Very often we choose because we are like pulled to one side or pulled to another, and we feel chained like this. And I hope and I wish and I intend that for all of us. When we choose, we do not feel compelled to any choice, but rather all of our choices are made with an understanding of the consequences of our actions. And by knowing the consequence of our actions, with each choice that we make, we choose ourselves what to do. And so in that moment, I realized, yes, I have a choice here. I can choose to not obey, to not say, to not do as he asks, and just walk towards him as I am naked. And I know that might cause fear. I realized, and I thought, do I want to induce fear in this world? And I thought, no, I really don't want that. As a true self-understanding of, I don't want them to feel fear. So with the other choices, I put underwear on, I go over there and there is no fear. That seems, and based on these two choices, I thought, yes, I will take this one. I want to have no fear. His request was not an order, was not a demand, or at least I could take it so that it was not that. It was not an order or a demand, it was a signal. Not even a request, it was just a signal. It's a signal of, hey, remember, if you come here, there might be fear. And then with this information, I can evaluate and choose what to do. And so I made the choice of my own accord to put my underwear back on and to walk towards where they were. I felt attracted to one of the women in the ceremony. And I sometimes, in waking life, I tend to feel a bit shaky about that. My expression of attraction and of romantic and flirtatious relation is shaky, I would describe it. But in this state, my lion was just absolutely in his own power. And so I walked over to him. Ah, yes. So what had happened was that I realized that at least partly, when I had gotten up from the mattress the first time, I got up and I saw this woman, and she was in her own mattress. And I saw her, and I felt inside of me a rising of attraction and of desire to go towards her. And then she was having her own psychedelically modified awareness, and I could see her like she was inside her blanket, and she kind of saw me from inside the blanket. But then when she saw that I was like in a growling state, she like covered herself up and went back down, and I realized, she's afraid of me. But my feeling was that attraction, that power that had come in my body had contributed to me reclaiming my entire power in myself. And so I came over to her, or to them, and I looked at them, and all their faces looked so big and they looked so detailed. And I wanted to thank her, genuinely, to say thank you for bringing this energy up in me. And so I came over to her, and I remember I just walked over there, and I mentioned her name, and I put my hand on her shoulder. And then there was a moment of alert. There were some. She was like a little bit like this, and the people around me, even in the ceremonial masters, they realized, wait, no, remember, no touching. There was one of the rules. No touching between each other, because you're all going through very different trips. And then I remembered, oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I apologize to this person. I didn't remember and I did that. I apologize to the people. And then I realized, yeah, I think I am over it. I seem to want to express something that I'm not sure why I want to express it. Later I realized, perhaps it's just me, it's just a pattern inside of me wanting to make a connection, a social connection. But I thought, is that important? Is that really what I want to do in this state? No. I would not use the state of I am, the state of my own power to satisfy an attraction that I knew, it felt somewhat casual. I mean, it was a true attraction, but most importantly, I could feel the fear in her. I could feel that the context was not correct. So I retracted myself. Always with the choice. But it was an interesting dynamic because my lying could there really feel experientially how the complex patterns that we navigate in between us humans can divert the intentions and the direction that we have in our life. What do I want? I see her, oh, I want her. It's simple as that. Isn't it as simple as that in this natural world? And yet, the patterns and structures and relationships that we have make it so that such approaches are rarely that simple. So I believe that at the same time, even this lion inside of me was like absorbing this information at a core level. Even learning at that point, it's like, okay, yeah, I see. After that, my experience returned back to the perception of my own self and in my interactions with nature. I went up the trees and I touched them. I walked over some stone steps and up close to the roof of the house and past some brambles to touch a tree that was all the way in the corner. And it did feel like my body was doing this all of its own accord. It did not need my mind to do any of it. It did not need me to calculate, oh, is that rock stable enough? Oh, why am I going to that tree? Or why shouldn't I go to that tree? Or could I be doing something else? There was nothing. My mind really was in observation and was like, oh, what's he doing? Oh, that, okay. What's he doing? Oh, I'm going to that tree. Okay. Yeah, good. my body did it. So powerfully, so certainly. Every step knew the balance, felt the balance. And it was just a matter of allowing it to be. I went up to the trees and I touched them. I embraced them. I felt the texture on their barks, on their leaves. I felt the wind as it rustled the leaves, as it brushed against my own skin and hair. Then I went into this cycle afterwards. Because I was allowing everything. I realized, this is a matter of allowing. So I just allowed my body to do whatever it wished. Allow. And so it went from exploratory and feeling and wanting to relate, wanting to be, wanting to move. And then at some point it got into this state. What it was exactly this state? It was a state of a feeling somewhat, how would I call it? Abandoned is the right word. There was some understanding that here in this world, we are sort of casted out here. Just we appear somewhere with no particular purpose, no defined purpose, no defined qualities, no defined attributes. And we are given these bodies with such powers. Because in that experience, I realized my body has such power within it. And what are we doing with it? What am I doing with it? Is there something to do here? What's the point of all of this? Why are we here? And I began to feel a real sadness or melancholy in the known fact that there was nothing else particularly essential to do it was melancholic at the contrast between all that I've tried to achieve in life. I believe all the efforts and all the strife and all the sadness and all the conflict and all the pain and all the hurt that has been in the life. And for what? Like, what is this for? Why do we need any of this? It was a sadness. Why place us in these vehicles, in this space, in this domain? If we are given nothing specific to do. But it really felt like abandonment. And my body went down and it cried and it mourned that. it went down into the ground and it felt the rock, and I felt, oh, here's the rock, here's the rock. It felt like so connected to the full strength of the rock, and at the same time, what is all of this? Why? There is such beauty and strength and power and all this intricate detail of things. Why? What purpose is in all of this? And I cried. I cried softly, sometimes loudly, sometimes softly. I sobbed with the rocks. I allowed my face to fall down into the earth. And just allow these feelings to be expressed, to flow out from me, through me. Yes, sun. The key word of this ceremony for me was sun, experience, sun, self. I am all of those linked together. I am. And at the center of that felt is a sun, dense, energetic, powerful, one, from which everything blooms, all life. And the very center, what my being felt like was, the expression of it was aligned in complete power, with no need of anything, absolute freedom of everything, and gradually developing awareness and understanding. Such that it can manage the world around it. As it likes. The rest of the ceremony I went through cycles of this sadness and crying, and then some more just feeling the trees and enjoying, and then again the sadness. So why all of this? Why all of this? Oh, alive. Power within. We have power within. It is a matter of reclaiming it. And to remember, yes, the power is within. It is mine to wield. If I choose to reclaim it from the authorities I have given it to in the past. Yes. So that was my experience with the mushroom ceremony. Energy, power, lion, and most importantly,